Welcome to the regular meeting of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners. It's good to have everybody with us today. We have a full house in the Commissioners' meeting room, and it's good to see that many people who are either interested or have some ideas as to what might be on your minds. We will have a public session a little later on. Those of you who came here to speak, you'll have 3 minutes each to make known your wishes or whatever you have on your mind at that time regarding the problems, needs, and interests of our community. And we would also like to point out that one of our old friends is in the group out there. He does have a few gray hairs now, but when I first met him, he was a ball of fire and on the track for some political opportunities, and his name is Vernon Robinson. I don't know where you are, Vernon, but it's good to have you with us today. It's always a pleasure. We also would like to invite the people who are watching us on Channel 3 from the cable system in our county. In a few moments, as I said, Commissioner Martin will make it available. That is time for you to speak over the phone, and he will have the telephone number for you. So if you don't have the phone number and you want to call and express your opinion, Ashley Sloop, who is the clerk to the commissioners on my left, on my right, is all set to get that set up so you can talk on the telephone to us. I might also point out, if there are those of you who do want to speak and you would like to take advantage of the public session that we will have, we have cards just outside the commissioner's meeting room. All you've got to do is fill that out, take it over, and give it to Ashley Sloop, and she will see to it that you are heard and you have your opportunity to speak during this meeting. We're going to begin today's meeting with something a little unusual, and as a rule, we open this meeting with a convocation. But given the fact that part of Europe is engaged in a war, the commissioners have thought, and rightly so, I think, that anytime you have somebody who is facing some kind of difficulty, for example, on the Today Show on NBC this morning, there were pictures of children who were caught unaware and blown away. But these folks who are engaged in that kind of action in Ukraine need our thoughts and our prayers, and I would like to ask all of us to stand. You'll notice that some commissioners are wearing yellow. Commissioner Kaplan actually has a yellow shirt on, and the other color of the Ukrainian flag is, let's see, what color? Blue. Duke blue is what I wanted to say that, but I thought maybe I shouldn't associate Duke with war, but blue and yellow, and that's the color of the national flag. But we do have sympathy and we do have thoughts and we do care about the folks who are engaged, whether it's their fault or not, in the conflict. I guess that's one way you can put it, in Europe. So if you will, please stand for a moment of silence in their honor, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Gloria Whissen-Hunt. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we've gotten off to a good start, and I'll turn the meeting over to the Vice Chairman of the County Commissioners and the former Superintendent of Schools in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School System, Don Martin, for the remainder of this agenda in which the Commissioners will be casting ballots. Commissioner Martin.
Thank you, Chairman Plyler, and good afternoon. Just before we start, we do have a person we'd like to introduce new to our staff. It'd be very important. Our new Director of Social Services, Mrs. Christine Dowdell, and I'm going to ask our Deputy County Manager, Chantel Robinson, just tell you a little bit about her, and so you can meet her. Very, very important position, and we're thrilled to have her join us and had an opportunity to meet her just before this meeting. So, Chantel?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman, and good afternoon, Commissioners. I am pleased to introduce Christine Dowdell, who is the new Social Services Director. Christine started on Monday and is certainly hitting the ground running. As you can imagine, DSS is a very large department with over 500 employees. Christine comes to us from Shawan County as their DSS Director, and so I'm just pleased to welcome her to Forsyth County and wanted to provide her with an opportunity to briefly introduce herself to all of you as well as our community. Christine.
Good afternoon. I am so happy to be here and happy to be in Forsyth County. I'm not a stranger. I have 2 children that graduated from Winston-Salem State, so I'm very familiar with it. Like Chantel said, I was previously a director, but I have almost 30 years of experience, and I've had the opportunity to work in different areas of social work and also in the school system. So I'm just very happy to be here and happy to work with the employees and staff at Forsyth County DSS. Thank you.
Would you like to give your children some publicity?
No, I think they're going to get me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good. As the chairman mentioned earlier, any citizen wishing to participate in the public session of the meeting by phone remotely, please call 336-422-1200. And that number again is 336-422-1200. And you will be placed on hold until the public session begins. And I think the chairman's already mentioned that if you're here in the audience and would like to speak, you need to complete a speaker card, give it to Ms. Ashley Sloop, our clerk, to my right and your left, and she'll make sure that you get that opportunity. We do have some standing reports we do every Thursday, and we're pleased to have Joshua Swift, our Public Health Director, who's going to give us a COVID-19 update. And for the record, this is the first meeting since, I guess, way back in March of 2020, almost 2 years ago, that we've either not been here or we were here with a mask. And I'm sure you're going to probably advise us that we still need to take precautions, but thank you for being here, and this is a special day.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commissioners. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to once again come before you. I believe Ashley, yes, has the presentation. So our Forsyth County update for today, we're continuing to see the decrease in cases, 63% decrease over the last 14 days in cases. And I'm very thankful for the first time we're seeing a significant decrease in the number of deaths over the last 14 days, a 70% decrease. You can look at our hospitalization numbers. You can see where Atrium Wake Forest Baptist Health was a month ago, and now that they had 236 patients that were COVID. Now it's 51. Novant, same story, from 192 in the Triad to 33. So we're definitely seeing a lot of progress in the right direction. Next, you see the cases per week. This metric, we had only 373 cases the week of February the 20th. Now again, this doesn't include any at-home tests that persons may have taken, but that we've had that ever since at-home tests were available. We knew that those were unreported, so we're definitely seeing a great decrease over the past now 6 to 8 weeks from the Omicron surge. Also, with the percent positivity, we're down to 7% for the week of the 20th. We aren't yet to that 5%, that gold standard that we want to hit, that ideal standard, but we are, you can see how far we've come. We're really back with cases and with our percent positivity to where we were before the Omicron surge. The next slide, I saw him in the back, Brian Hart with the library system. I really appreciate his partnership with the library and the health department offering at-home test kits. We're keeping that updated on a daily basis with which libraries have test kits and which ones are out, but really working to get those test kits into the community at all 10 branches. We've also ordered more test kits. Again, with a lot of things, there's sometimes delays with the supply, so we are looking forward to getting more test kits and just making sure they're available when and if people need them. And I would encourage people with the test kits, really it's best order yours, you can go to covidtest.gov, or you can go pick some up at the health department or at the branches that still have them, and just have them available for when you might need them. And as far as your comment, Dr. Martin, as you can see, obviously, I keep my mask handy. And I would just encourage people, it's not a yes or a no. Maybe there's different opportunities. Just like I've encouraged my children that are in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools, you don't have to wear it all the time, or, not because of who your dad is, but just wear it when you want to, when you feel comfortable. And they know when those times are. If you're in an enclosed space, there's a lot of people, low ceilings, not much ventilation. Yeah, you may, especially if you're immune compromised or you just are concerned, hey, wear that. You might want to wear a mask versus other locations where it's large open ceilings, a lot of ventilation, not that many people, or the persons you're around, if they're vaccinated or not, you may choose not to wear the mask. So it's, really encouraging people to take personal responsibility. I think, looking at one, wearing a mask if you feel comfortable. There's N95 masks that offer superior protection, the best protection. Getting tested as well. And really number one, though, is the vaccine. We're staying at that 71% or so of adults that are fully vaccinated in the county, but we have vaccine available 5 days a week at the Department of Public Health. There's other locations you can go to throughout the community to get the vaccine. So, really the best thing is the vaccine and then those other measures as well. But yes, we're definitely in a much better place. When you look at a year ago where we were at the fairgrounds, 1,500 people per day coming through, over 100 staff and volunteers. And I can't say enough about the staff. We still have staff, we're almost at 2 years now. March 12th, 2020 is etched in my brain because that was the day we had our first 2 cases. So staff have been, and we were meeting about the coronavirus, as we called it then, or months before that. So a lot of people that have been working very hard, and I appreciate that. Appreciate the partnerships in the community. And, I'm hoping as we go through here that, people still take precautions, but we're in a much better place. Be happy to take any questions.
With the precautionary things that have been going on where the mask is concerned and vaccine is concerned, as you might expect, and it did happen in the past 12 months at least, there are those who said vaccines don't really work for me, or masks just really don't work. But a combination of the vaccines, the masks, and the instructions that come from the Forsyth County Public Health Department and the state, if you look, look at that chart, it took a nosedive for the elimination of the disease as we know it today. And I know you just said, vaccine, get the shots, wear the masks, but would you agree or disagree, or what would you think? Does it take a combination of things to keep this nosedive going further down? Or is there any one of these things that you would feel comfortable saying, well, we don't need it anymore?
Thank you for that question, Chairman. For probably over a year now, we even emphasized how you layer protections on top of each other. So it's masking, it's vaccine on top of social distancing and those things. And obviously we're starting to loosen those things up and trying to get back to more normal. I would just encourage people, like I said, as, depending on their vaccine status, their immune status, their health status, just to, take what precautions. And, it's really a lot of tools in the toolbox, I would say, and not any one tool is necessarily more important, although I would say that the vaccine, I'll say that one's the most important tool, but then there's other tools you can layer on top of it to help you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Joshua?
I do have a question, Vice Chairman. Joshua, first of all, I wanted to say thank you. I know that you guys have been totally fatigued through this whole pandemic. However, I want us to realize that we're still in the pandemic, and I thank you for all of the tools in the toolbox. So with that being said, I don't want us to take our foot off of the gas pedal, and are you still going to be able to give us the report every week?
I think the guidance I've had is to come to every, the official meetings.
Yeah, okay.
So I think, is that every
The
2
official
weeks?
meeting,
Yeah.
okay, fair enough. That's what I wanted to know. Just kind of keep my eyes on what's happening, especially in our.
And I still have I do at least on a weekly basis, a presentation, a media Q&A, and I'll do a presentation similar to this, and that can be available as well. And I think that right now currently goes to the Health and Human Services Board on a weekly basis, along with other updates.
I would just like to have something, so that's nice. Thank you so very much. I
Yes.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Good. I'll echo Commissioner McDaniel's thanks. Appreciate all that you and your staff have done during this long 2-year period, and we certainly hope that it may not be in the rearview mirror, but hopefully it's going to be a lot smoother sailing. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The first item on our agenda today is a resolution naming the Forsyth County Central Library in honor of the service of former Library Director Sylvia SPRINKLE-HAMLIN. And I'm going to invite and ask Commissioner Elamine, who is a member of the library board, if he would actually read that resolution. And I believe we have 3 family members in the audience, and I would love to ask you all to come forward. We should have Arthur and Peculiar Sprinkle, brother and sister-in-law, and also Lorente Hamlin's stepson. If you all are here, please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chair, Commissioners, I'm honored to read this resolution to the record. Resolution naming the Forsyth County Central Library Building in honor of the service of former Library Director Sylvia Y. SPRINKLE-HAMLIN. Whereas Sylvia Y. SPRINKLE-HAMLIN was a Forsyth County native, graduate of Carver High School, recipient of a Bachelor of Science degree in education from the Winston-Salem State University, and a Master of Science degree in Library Sciences from Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta. Whereas Sylvia Y. SPRINKLE-HAMLIN was hired by the Forsyth County Public Library on November 11, 1979, as manager of the Children's Outreach Division, served at that role with distinction, and was promoted to subsequent leadership roles in the department, culminating in her selection as Public Library Director on January 1, 2000. Where she was the first woman and first African-American to serve as Forsyth County Public Library Director. Whereas Sylvia Y. SPRINKLE-HAMLIN retired on December 12, 2019, having aptly served Forsyth County residents and veterans alike for 40 years, with 20 of those as Library Director. Whereas Sylvia Y. SPRINKLE-HAMLIN's tenure as Forsyth County Public Library Director was one of accomplishment marked by technology implementation, establishment of on the same page and on the same poem, community literature programs, bilingual reading initiatives, construction and reopening of library branches in Louisville in 2007, Kernersville in 2019, and Clements in 2021, and rebuilding of the Central Library in 2017. Whereas Sylvia Y. SPRINKLE-HAMLIN's achievements as Forsyth County Public Library Director and her leadership and founding contributions, along with her husband, Larry Leon Hamlin, in the National Black Theater Festival were noteworthy and beneficial to the entire community, educationally, culturally, and economic development of the Forsyth County community. And whereas Sylvia Y. SPRINKLE-HAMLIN was afforded numerous honors for her efforts, including the North Carolina Order of the Longleaf Pine, North Carolina Public Library Director of the Year, inclusion by the Governor's Office in the North Carolina Heritage Calendar, Winston-Salem's Chronicle Woman of the Year, Winston-Salem Chamber of Commerce Duke Energy Community Achievement Award, and many other notable accolades. Now therefore be it resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes, memorializes, and thanks Sylvia Y. SPRINKLE-HAMLIN for 40 years of meritorious service with the Forsyth County Public Library and a lifetime of dedication to her native Forsyth County. And be it further resolved by the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners that the Forsyth County Central Library Building is hereby named the Sylvia Y. SPRINKLE-HAMLIN Forsyth County Central Library in honor of Sylvia Y. SPRINKLE-HAMLin for her achievements in all areas of endeavor for the betterment of Forsyth County, adopted this 3rd day of March, 2022. Could we get a motion, Mr. Chairman?
I'll second I'll make the motion if that's what you want.
Second.
Yeah, you got it right quick.
That's good. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
We have
Motion
a-
carries unanimously.
This is the same thing. All right. Give the family a moment to say a few words, please.
Good evening. We would like to just say thank you for all your kind acts and all your kind deeds towards the Sprinkle-Hamlin family. And we are so proud and so grateful that she stood for something. And we are receiving this today in her honor. And today, the 3rd of this month, marks 2 months that she has gone. So I think it all fell into place along with the Black History Month and this month of her celebration of being gone on. We just want to say thank you, and we are honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is actually a resolution approving and ratifying a 5% pay increase in the county's portion of send-in salaries paid for North Carolina Cooperative Extension employees. We've actually briefed this twice. Anything you'd like to add, Mr. Manager?
Just I think we went into a lot of detail. It's fairly complicated because of the kind of the nature of the send-in employees with cooperative extension. But after taking a look at it, that mid-year adjustment, the board was I think, wise to move forward with, both for regular county employees, given the kind of the labor market considerations. It needed to be extended to cooperative, to the send-in employees there, just because of the nature of that agreement. So we appreciate that.
Good. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Plyler, second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. The third item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the meeting on February 17th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Chairman Plyler first.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Elamine and Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, do we have any calls or cards for public session?
Mr. Vice Chairman, we have 10 speaker cards, and let me double check because a few moments ago we did not have any callers.
All right. Well, we can go ahead and get started, and you can check, and we'll do the calls at the end this time if we have any.
Okay, that sounds
So
good.
you can call in. And let me just say at the beginning, we have 3 minutes to speak. We have a lot of speakers, and we try to keep our public comments into the kind of the 30-minute range is what we're trying to do. So I'd encourage you, if you can be brief, more brief, that's great. And if there were other people here with the same message, it'd be great if maybe you could say, there might be some other people here, and you could stand up and we could see you as we move along. But we appreciate you being here, and I'll do my very best to have a little timer, try to keep up with the 3 minutes. And if you take a breath at 30 seconds, I'll say you have 30 seconds left. And I know how that sometimes is interrupted, but just to give you a little so you can close out. So
Chairman,
thank you all for being here.
excuse me, do we have a telephone number for them to call?
Yes, we gave that out a couple of times, but while our speakers that are here speak, I will mention that phone number again. If there's anybody else, it is 336-422-1200. So, thank you.
Our first speaker is Joanne Allen. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Joanne Allen, P.O. Box 284, Winston-Salem 27102. I'm going to try and speak very quickly. I know everyone, I've spoken to everyone up here at some point in time over the past many years. But let me just say this, and I'm going to get straight to the point. We got to stop playing with our money, okay? We've got to stop doing that. We, as the taxpayers, we're the ones that build up the city and the county. We need for you all to do your job, and we need for you to do your job effectively and efficiently. And the only way you can do that is you've got to take a step back and do what's right for the public. We've got the American Rescue Plan Act funds. Let's not squabble over this, okay? Now, I'll be the first one to tell you that, yes, I do have an issue with giving so much money to nonprofit organizations, not because they don't do any good, they do a lot of good, but because there's no real oversight to see where the money is going. And we're tired of our tax funds being wasted, okay? That's the first thing. As soon as you give this money out, let's make sure that you have something set up so that there is an oversight, so that we can come in and make sure that the money is being used specifically for what it needs to be used for, period. The third thing is that the nonprofit organizations here in Winston-Salem, across this country, across the world, cannot solve the issues, especially the systemic issues that we have here in Winston-Salem. What we have to do is find a way for you all to do your job, make policy, such as afternoon or after-school programs, not just for the schools, in the communities or what have you. I'm talking about across the board. We got to have jobs. Can't have jobs. And I'm talking about sustainable jobs. I'm not talking about these little part-time $7.25 an hour wage jobs, period. My main issue tonight is this, or this afternoon, I'm so used to talking at night, is this. For all of you individuals that have been on the county commissioner board for more than 8 years, come on, let's be real. It's just time for you all to step down, because Forsyth County, Winston-Salem cannot move forward. We need brighter ideas. We need people who know who's out here in the streets, people who are aware of what's going on. You can't understand what's going on if you're sitting behind a desk every day. That's nothing
30 seconds,
personal.
Ms. Down.
That's nothing personal. It's just the fact that we really need for you all to step down and let others come in with fresh ideas, new ideas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chase Law, please state your name and address for the record when you come to the podium.
I'm Chase Law. I'm the president and CEO of the Arts Council of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County, 251 North Spruce Street, Winston-Salem, 27101. Thank you for having me here today and allowing me to speak. I'm also grateful for your generous annual support and for your consideration of the ARPA funds. I'm here on behalf of the entire arts and cultural sector, as well as for the good of the entire community. There is no surprise here of the effects that the pandemic have had on the arts and cultural sector. We all know this. But let's talk about our future. County ARPA funds will not only help re-energize our area arts organizations, programs, and individual artists, but they will also impact areas and individuals throughout the county that need additional resources, support, and positive outlets. These funds will help break down barriers and bridge gaps. Awarding this much funding is not in vain. This isn't about just the fun and entertainment of the arts. It's about making our community, our county, a better place for everyone. It's about working with all aspects, subsets, neighborhoods, people, and working for change, real change. This funding will be a catalyst and encourage others to contribute to sustain the work, help nurture, feed, and grow it well into the future. We are not advocating to take necessary resources away from any other entity or organization that will threaten community safety. Arts Council believes that the community partnerships and collaborations we can find real change and positive solutions together that can be achieved and have long-lasting results. Over the last year or more, Arts Council has been focused on helping arts and cultural sectors recover and reemerge, and all the while behind the scenes, we are examining our role and re-examining it in many ways. We're working to reinvest in our time and our resources to support local artists and arts organizations in new and experimental ways, which ultimately will impact all of the residents of our community. The organization is committed to fostering a creative economy where conversation and consideration go hand in hand. Reinvesting means asking questions about representation, equity, access, diversity, and inclusion. It's about every story, every voice, every person. Reinvesting means re-examining our history, learning from that history, and understanding how we can improve for the future. Arts Council is working diligently to make the arts a safe and inclusive space, access equity, diversity, and inclusion in the arts, help us overcome challenges, and respond to real needs in our community through the lens of arts, culture, and creativity.
30 seconds.
The arts are essential. The arts not only teach our youth and other residents invaluable lessons such as small changes make big impacts and collaboration leads to creativity, but the arts teach our youth that there are a variety of positive options and choices when dealing with problems and that all issues can have more than one solution. There are so many needs here in Forsyth County. The arts play a critical role in supporting and responding to those needs. They always have. We can do this together. Arts Council is community focused. The arts are community. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just a brief note, the Arts Council was the first arts council in the United States.
1949.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Kevin Kranis, please state your name and address for the record.
I am Kevin Kranis, 1026 Salem Village Lane, Clemens. I'm a lifelong tennis player. I'm also the president of Winston-Salem Tennis Incorporated. Our organization is a CTA, that's a Community Tennis Association, as defined by the USTA. We are a nonprofit. We are volunteer-based. We have 12 board members, and our goal is to support the growth of tennis locally. That's what we do. We do this through administering USTA programs, such as adult leagues, and by providing programs such as Young Folks Tennis, which is a free program for kids to get them started in tennis. We're here today to raise your awareness about our position regarding the Tanglewood Tennis Center. Okay. As I'm sure you all know, there's a survey that was sent out by the Forsyth County Parks and Recreations, and we want to thank them for asking for input, first of all, okay? There's 3 options on that survey. I sent each one of you a link to that survey and also our position on the survey. We support option 1. Option 1 has 2 components to it, okay? The first component is to retain the clay courts at Tanglewood. The second component is to have a vendor out there to help support the facility, okay? So why clay courts? Okay, if you're not an avid tennis player, why clay courts? Clay courts have a benefit for your health, okay? It's hard on your knees to play tennis, and as you get older, you'll find that playing on clay is certainly helpful. We have a lot of leagues, 55 and older, okay? And many of those leagues require clay courts. And so we want to keep providing that for our players. Our growth from last spring to this spring is 22%. So our participation is going up, and we would sure like to have those courts at Tanglewood. The other good reason for clay courts is they're a type of surface that is excellent for teaching young kids. The ball stays in play a lot more, and so there's many other factors, but having a young person on clay is certainly a benefit.
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. Also, the second part of that component of option 1 that we're in favor of is having a vendor out there. Okay, so public tennis courts thrive when there's programming on site. Okay, and having a vendor operate that facility will help with scheduling, clinics, lessons, and tournaments, things like that. Okay, so we are in big time support of having someone out there to help run the place and support it. Please do not underestimate the quality of those clay courts out there. They're superb, okay? They're beyond any country club clay courts that we have here locally. And please take note of how important it is to have someone out there to help run programs. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Priscilla Ivester. Please state your name and address for the record.
How long have you been on the Animal Control Advisory Board?
On and off since about 2005. My name is Priscilla Ivester. I live at 2401 Rosewood Avenue here in Winston, 27103. I'm here today to reiterate to you how important it is for doing away with pet licensing so that we can concentrate on trying to increase our rabies compliance in the county. Licensing of pets has been a disincentive to rabies compliance. People avoid getting their pets rabies licenses in the county so that they don't have to pay licensing of their pets. I would also like to thank again both Captain Loveland for the very hard work that he has done in researching this subject, and to Damon and the other county staff that have been involved with researching this subject for us. I'll be short, and I just want to say that I request that you do away with licensing of all animals except for dangerous animals in our community. Thank you.
Okay.
Bynum Hancock, please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I want to speak on behalf of Veterans Cup. We are a peer-to-peer support group. We have a coffee once a week. And we do this, have vets talk to each other with the bottom line, prevent veteran suicides. The numbers are trending back up per day. One is too doggone many, okay? But I'm here to ask you to look at an ordinance. March 29th is Vietnam War Veterans Day. There were 2.1 million troops in Vietnam. There's 600,000 of those left. 59,000 plus names on the wall in D.C. There's more than that have gone into the backside of the wall due to injuries and wounds from Vietnam, to include the toxins of Agent Orange. Vietnam veterans are leaving us at the rate of like 385 a day. We'd like on March 29th to conduct a ceremony at the Triad Field of Honor to honor both our past Vietnam vets, their families, and the present ones and their families. We'd like the honor guard from Post 9010 of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Clemens, North Carolina, to conduct our ceremonies. These gentlemen have conducted 135 funerals where they've fired a 21-gun salute last year. Anyone that attended the Veterans Day ceremony, November the 6th, downtown Winston-Salem, 4th Street, there were two different honor guards there, one from the American Legion in King. They fired a volley, 3 volleys of 7 shots. The Post 9010 of Clemens did the same. No one inspected or asked anything of those weapons or those people because of their experience. They have been doing this, and they use an M1 Garand rifle with a blank suppressor on it that cannot fire a live round.
You have 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Okay. What I'd like for you to do is look at changing or implementing an ordinance to prevent this to happen at the Triad Field of Honor for 3 events: Vietnam War Veterans Day, and Memorial Day. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Melissa Hall. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Melissa Hall. I am the Chief Operating Officer, Executive Vice President with Monarch. Our business address is 4140 North Cherry Street in Winston-Salem, 27105. Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman Plyler and Commissioners, for considering Monarch's request for ARPA funds to create a child-focused assertive community treatment team, or ACT services, to meet the needs of children ages 6 to 17 that are at high risk for placement in a residential treatment facility due to a psychiatric disorder. Monarch is committed to supporting, educating, and empowering people with developmental and intellectual disabilities, mental illness, and substance abuse disorders to choose and achieve what's important to them. In the last fiscal year, we provided services and supports to approximately 3,000 people at our Forsyth County Behavioral Health Office. Approximately 83% of individuals served by Monarch are Medicaid eligible, state-funded, or uninsured. The disadvantaged population that Monarch serves have experienced traumas resulting from a variety of life events as well as systemic inequities. This population requires intensive therapeutic support to overcome those traumas and access to evidence-based services that meet those needs. ACT is an evidence-based practice that improves outcomes for people with severe mental illness. Children with severe and persistent mental illness are at greater risk for school failure, hospitalization, homelessness, substance abuse, incarceration, and victimization. Mental health crises are on the rise. According to the data from the Center for Disease Control, from March 2020 to October 2020, mental health-related emergency department visits increased 24% for children ages 5 to 11 and 31% for children ages 12 to 17 compared to the year before. ACT services provide a team-based approach to mental health care and are unique because they are designed to be delivered in a variety of settings that are more comfortable for children and their families. Rather than meeting in an office or a clinic, families are served in such places such as their homes, schools, court, homeless shelters, libraries, and other community settings. As a result, Monarch can ensure the most vulnerable children have every chance to reach their dreams and contribute to the Forsyth community. By establishing a child-focused ACT program in partnership with Monarch, Forsyth County will increase the community's capacity to provide much-needed mental health and substance abuse services during the pandemic and in its wake. Thank you very much for your consideration of Monarch's request.
Thank you.
Kelly Gaines. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Kelly Gaines, 2709 Henry Street in Greensboro, and I come to you today as the Executive Director of the USTA in North Carolina, or North Carolina Tennis. Forsyth County has long led the way in tennis in our state. Many of our state, section, and national tennis leaders have come from right here in Forsyth County. The Young Folks Tennis Program, as Kevin Cranis just mentioned, is a model for our country. Since the early days of tennis in North Carolina, Forsyth County and Tanglewood have hosted many national and statewide events that have poured dollars into your local economy. The long-running Tar Heel qualifier used courts all over the county, both public and private, for decades, allowing thousands of kids, me included, to vie for best in the state. And if it were not for Tanglewood's clay and hard courts, we wouldn't be able to host those events. It is easily assumed that tennis is a country club sport. That's not true. The fact is more than 70% of tennis is played on public courts. Let me give you a little facts about tennis. An independent survey has been done over the last couple of years about recreation activity by the Physical Activity Council. And of those who were surveyed that answered they were interested in tennis, more than 50% had an income under $75,000 a year. More than 1/3 were non-white, and 64% of those were under 35 years old. Play venues saw 77% of tennis being played in a public park or public venue. Only 12% were in a private club. The pandemic has pushed all activity to an all-time high. That's good. Tennis participation grew by 23%, an increase of over 3 million, that's new players, bringing the number of total tennis players in our country to over 22 million. Now, the research shows that we added more new players than most racket sports have as just normal participants. Our racket and ball sales, they hit all-time record highs in 20 and 21. And so we have, that is something to be very, very proud of. What we know about tennis is the present day and the most successful public facilities offer program play. In days of old, most of us were sent out to play, to fend for ourselves. Not now. Most all activities are programmed. It's important that someone mind the store and offered scheduled programming. It's our duty in the public space to offer tennis to those to enhance and embrace an active, healthy lifestyle. Tennis has always been part of Forsyth County's offerings. Don't stop now. Go harder. Go further. Keep Forsyth County playing tennis and have a very healthy, family-oriented lifestyle. An independent contractor or an employee will continue to see those courts full and provide a wonderful opportunity for tennis for years to come. North Carolina Tennis supports option 1 in that survey. And thank you again for your time, and thank you for your service.
I can feel the excitement from Vice Chairman Don Martin. He goes out there every chance he gets and plays on the clay tennis courts. That's why his hair hasn't fallen out.
Is that the reason?
Arnita Miles, please state your name and address for the record.
Arnita Miles, 494 Smithdale Street, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, District B. Good afternoon, County Commissioner Plyler.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Other county commissioners, Mr. Watts. I don't have anything written down because I'm going to speak from my heart today. There's no clock, so I'm going to go. I speak to you wearing 3 hats. The first hat as a veteran. I give you and request that you give full support to Mr. Hancock in the resolution to support the firearms at the Triad Community Carolina Firearms Park, at the park. When Vietnam veterans came back here to Forsyth County, many of them did not receive the honor that they just reserved. Thank you for honoring our veterans today and saying the prayer in honor of them. We need your support in allowing the firearms to be fired for the 21 gun salutes. That's hat number 1. Hat number 2 is here in support, wearing my former law enforcement hat, in support of the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. In 1992, I was one of the first members of the Winston-Salem Police Department's gang unit. We operated with a budget of $1,000. $1,000. And what is Sheriff Kimbrough asking you for? He is asking for your support. He needs the assistance. He needs the manpower. Our children need this assistance. And remember this, Forsyth County is in Winston-Salem. I live in District B. We know who represents us in District B, but this is a county-wide problem, over 30 years. Number 3 hat, I'm a voter and I'm a concerned citizen. I challenge each of you, if you have not spoken to a gang member that lives in Louisville, that lives in Clemens, that lives in Kernersville, please go and do so, because it is a county-wide issue. It is a juvenile justice issue. They need you.
You have 30 seconds.
Go home and talk to your grandchildren or your younger nieces and nephews and ask them, are they aware of the gang problem in Forsyth County? Are they aware of the gang problem in their middle schools, in their junior high schools, and in their high schools? We need you to vote in support of the resolution where Sheriff Kimbrough is asking for those 9 positions. The voters demand that from each of you. It's not a request. We vote for you to support the community, the entire community of Forsyth County, not just Winston-Salem, but all of Forsyth County. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Patterson and Lyda Calvert-Hayes, please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
Commissioners, notice Lyda has a heart on her shirt.
I tell you, I'm Lyda Calvert-Hayes, and I'm here today again, and look forward to speaking with you, with this gentleman that is working really, really hard for our kids also.
Dr. S.D. Patterson, Executive Director of Neighborhood Hands, 1713 North Liberty Street. Once again, thank you, County Commissioners. We're here for a point of clarity. It was stated last week that the APPRA funds is funding our budget, and that's not truly correct because we have received, and we still continue to receive funding from 28 different organizations, local and federal. But the point I want to make is that we appreciate the funding because we cannot do what we need to do on our behalf. The funding is so important for our food pantry and our mobile food crisis because the fund is going to help us impact more residents in the county. Every day, even today, every day our mobile food crisis vehicle goes out and feed people. We don't ask for any money. They don't pay for gas. But we feed the people in Forsyth County. Why? Because food is essential. And everybody cannot go to Food Line and Harris Teeter every week. So nonprofits like myself, we're out there feeding kids, feeding the elderly, feeding the low-income people, feeding anyone who needs food. Our food pantry is open 7 days a week, and our mobile food crisis vehicle operates 5 days a week. So the funding from the ARPA grant is going to that program, and we appreciate this. It's not for us. We're just servants of the kingdom, servants of the people. But thank you for this opportunity because at the end of the day, you can always come up to Liberty Street and see our food pantry. And throughout the county, you'll see our van going somewhere delivering food on behalf of children, the elderly, and the residents of Forsyth County. So thank you once again on behalf of our nonprofit.
I think that you've probably seen the vans out going. I know, you know, that I have a whole lot. And I hope that you'll think about these kids that need you and that need your vote so that they can eat. It's so much going on right now. You know what it's like as far as our kids being on the street. We got to get them off of the street, in the schools, and we need your help. Please help us with this. Kids first.
Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chairman, our last speaker is Philip Carter. Please state your name and address for the record.
Philip Carter, 965 Fowle Street. Good evening, Mr. Chair, distinguished county commissioners. I stand before you today as a co-chair of Housing Justice Now. I'm sure you're familiar with us and the work that we do in our community. I come before you today asking you first that if you haven't read the story of Gabrielle Craven Carter, no relationship known, who was almost evicted due to the fact that she had legal representation that stopped that eviction. Unfortunately, she had an altercation with the hotel in which she was living in, and Housing Justice Now helped resolve that. I stand before you today asking you to use that ARPA money to provide a minimum of $600,000 to assist the right to counsel. We're in the process of wanting to build almost $180 million courthouse. Let's let it stand for justice, true justice for the people, regardless of whom they are and what their circumstances may be. Most of these families, 827 since January the 17th to February the 17th, that has an eviction notice. 5% will probably only have a lawyer. So therefore, they need assistance. I also would like you, on my own personal behalf, to consider and support the request of our sheriff. Now, I'm not a farmer, but I'm sure possibly Commissioner Linville has some knowledge of farming. Wolves and foxes, they manifest themselves on the farmer's land, but they live outside of it. Gang activity is formulated in the rural areas. It may be manifested in the city, but it's all over this county. It is time that we realize it is the county and its municipalities and townships that it is to provide services, protections, and provisions to. And that is all I am asking today. Supply money to the right of counsel. Support our sheriff's initiative to rid our county, not just our city, of gang activity. And we'll all be safe wherever we go within this city. Thank you for your time and for listening to my plea.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any callers on the phone?
No, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Manager, we're ready to continue with the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Good afternoon, board members and staff and guests. We do have some business items for consideration this afternoon. We have reviewed these at least twice in briefing sessions and hopefully have answered all your questions as you get prepared to vote for them today. So I'll dive into it. Agenda item 5 is an amendment to the FY 2021-2022 budget ordinance. It increases revenues and appropriations for the Forsyth County Department of Public Health from the Women's and Children Health sections, Children and Youth Branch funding from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. And you got 3 associated, you got the associated budget ordinance amendments with it. That would approve $380,910 for the school nursing support and response.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, agenda item
Carries
6. Agenda item 6 has 3 parts. It's amendment to the 2020 PAYGO Capital Projects Ordinance. You've got amendment to the 2020 2/3 Capital Bond Capital Projects Ordinance and the Blues Lake Capital Projects Ordinance. This recognizes $3 million of state funds that were provided through this last session of the General Assembly, $500,000 in Parks and Recreation Trust Fund money that we just found out about, and then we've earmarked a $200,000 match for that with the 2/3 bond CPO. And so the total funding for that project after you get through with it today will be $5.7 million.
Move approval.
Motion by Chairman Plyler.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel and Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? Appreciate all the good work on that project. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 7 is amendment to the 2018 Smith Reynolds Airport Capital Projects Ordinance. It appropriates state capital and infrastructure award funds for the authorized airport projects. If you approve this, you'll approve $23 million of state SCIF funds that were identified through this last session of the General Assembly. Real quickly, $2.5 million will go toward the corporate hangars project, $5 million to the terminal building, $600,000 for ramp improvements, and $14.9 million to create jobs with a new MRO hangar project.
Move approve.
Second.
I get motion made by Commissioner Elamine and second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Very good. Item 8 is a resolution supporting an application by the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Board of Education to the Needs-Based Public School Capital Fund. We found out about this very quickly, that there were some additional funds made available on a needs basis, and it is competitive from lottery funds that were in excess of what was anticipated. So the schools submitted 7 projects, and I'll just mention them real quickly, that they are going to propose funding out of this. This does not mean they're funded, but they will compete for funds with these projects. The Brunson Elementary addition, an additional almost a little over $19 million. East Forsyth High renovation, a little over $18 million. Cook Elementary renovation, 1.6 roughly. million. Louisville Elementary renovation, 1.5 million roughly. R.J. Reynolds High Practice Field, 1.6, a little over 1.6 million. Ward Elementary addition, 6.5 million. And the Griffith Elementary addition, 7.1 million.
Move approval.
Motion made by Chairman Plyler,
Second.
second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Good. Motion carries. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Agenda item 9 is a resolution authorizing submission of an application to North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. It will apply for and accept if awarded 2022 Urgent Repair Program funding. The amount requested is $120,000.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made by Chairman Plyler, second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, agenda item 10 is a resolution authorizing acceptance of a Child Health Recognition Award grant from North Carolina GlaxoSmithKline Foundation to the Forsyth County Department of Public Health to support programs that address healthy childhood nutrition. You got an associated budget ordinance amendment that will appropriate $10,000 for this
Move
purpose.
approval.
Second.
Motion by Chairman Plyler, second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, items 11 through 23 are the ARPA round one closeout projects that the board's going to act on. My understanding from the attorney is we do need to act on these, each one of them, so I'll go ahead and introduce them. There are several that have options, and I'll try to kind of outline what those options are as I introduce them. Item 11 is a resolution approving execution of an agreement with Monarch to establish a child-focused assertive community treatment team with American Rescue Act funds. You've got the associated budget ordinance amendment that would appropriate $250,000 for this
Move
purpose.
approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Plyler, second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item 12 is a resolution approving an execution of an agreement with Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. to create a co-located workforce training system with the American Rescue Plan Act funds. You've got an associated budget ordinance amendment that will appropriate $2.5 million for this over that period of 2.5 years.
Move approval.
Motion to approve by Chairman Plyler,
Second.
second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Item 13 is a resolution approving execution of an agreement with the Experiment in Self-Reliance Incorporated, or ESR, and SG Atkins Community Development Corporation to expand the Small Business Individual Development Account Program with American Rescue Plan Act funds. Got an associated budget ordinance amendment that would appropriate $1 million for this purpose.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made by Chairman Plyler, second by Commissioners Elamine and McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, agenda item 14 is a resolution approving the execution of an agreement with Imprints Cares to increase their capacity to meet the growing demands of their Ready for School program using ARPA funds. You got associated budget ordinance amendment that will appropriate $3,337,462 for this purchase.
Move approval.
Motion to approve by Chairman Plyler,
Second.
second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 15 is a resolution approving execution of an agreement with the Creative Center of North Carolina Incorporated for the Forsyth County Collaborative Assets Project using ARPA funds. You've got an associated budget ordinance amendment that would appropriate $300,000 for this purpose.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Chairman Plyler. Second by Commissioner Kaplan. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item 16, there are two options. They are both options deal with a resolution approving execution of an agreement with the Arts Council Incorporated to fund arts programming and workforce development for the local arts and cultural sectors with the American Rescue Plan Act funds. The difference in them is in the associated budget ordinance amendment. In option one, it would appropriate $2,750,000 for this purpose. Option two would appropriate $4,500,000 for this purpose.
Option two would appropriate more money than option one
Yes, sir.
by $3 million, $2
It essentially
million.
doubles.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Chairman Plyler, second by Commissioner Kaplan. Any discussion? I'd probably like to say that I think from the time that we met last time, I think the 2.7 million was sort of the idea of maybe looking for some match from the city and also to take a look at the current Arts Council's campaign. We are going to be advertising shortly for a second round, and I would certainly encourage the Arts Council. I've been a supporter from day one since I've been on this commission. And so I will vote against option 1 in favor of option 2.
That was my motion.
All right, against option 2 in favor of option 1. Excuse me, I had my options missed. Yes.
No, I was just going to say that just to be clear, so everybody knows what we're talking about, what has been moved and seconded is option 2 for $4.5 million. So that's what will be considered first.
And that's what I'm suggesting. I would like to vote for option 1 later. So, any other discussion? I apologize for the confusion.
We ready for the vote?
Yes.
On option
All
2?
in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? I didn't get that. 3. Motion carries by 4-3 margin. Thank you.
Very good.
Mr. Vice Chairman,
Yes.
can we take the vote again because I did not catch everybody?
Okay.
Raise their hands.
All right, well, let's do a motion to raise by hand. All in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed, please raise your hand. Okay.
And I would just like to say my opposition is that I think that we have just made it impossible for the city to contribute because they'll say that the county has given all the money, and it is the city of the arts.
We're the county of the arts.
Apparently so now.
Agenda item 17 is a resolution approving execution of an agreement with Memorial Industrial Community Development Corporation for an incubator farm and a community garden program at Horizons Park using American Rescue Plan Act funds. You've got an associated budget ordinance amendment that will appropriate $60,000 for this purpose.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel, second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 18 is a resolution approving execution of an agreement with the Shalom Project Incorporated for the expansion of the medical clinic program using American Rescue Plan Act funds. You got the associated budget ordinance amendment that will appropriate $50,000 for this purpose.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion approved by Chairman Plyler, second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 19 is a resolution approving execution of an agreement with United Health Care Centers to provide medical services in medically underserved areas with American Rescue Plan Act funds. You've got an associated budget ordinance amendment that will appropriate $865,000 for this purpose.
Well, move approval.
Chairman and Vice Chair, I have a conflict of interest, so therefore I have to recuse myself, please.
Thank you. Motion to approve again?
To approve the item just discussed.
Second.
Commissioner Plyler made the motion, second by Commissioner Elamine. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0, rather.
Very good. Item 20 is a resolution approving an execution of an agreement with Clemens Food Pantry Incorporated to provide funding for its food pantry operations with the ARPA funds. You've got an associated budget ordinance amendment that appropriates $25,000 for this purpose.
Question is, are these funds, does it involve staff or does it just include maybe food and meals?
Cannot answer that question.
Yeah. My read on it was that it just includes the food product in there. But
Volunteer, it's voluntary operated.
Let us verify that.
Why don't we just skip to the next item, and maybe we can get an answer to that, and we can return to it.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. I'll come back to it. Agenda item 21 has two options as well. They both involve a resolution approving execution of an agreement with Neighborhood Hands Incorporated for a food pantry and mobile food crisis distribution to provide food assistance using American Rescue Plan Act funds. The only difference really is the associated budget ordinance amendment. Option 1 would provide $350,000 for this purpose, and item 2 would provide $200,000 for this purpose.
Move approval of option 1.
Motion to approve option 1 by Commissioner Plyler for $300,000.
$350,000.
$350,000, excuse me. Is there a second?
Second.
second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion?
Yes, discussion. It seems to me this would be something that, this is not the only one either, maybe some others too. They're doing some of the same kind of things as senior services. It looks like to me there could be some coordination there. This motion's already on the floor, and in a second, I'm not going to support it as it is. I would support some of the things they do, but it's there's so much of just so much in-depth stuff to find out. We'll try to understand on all of these. I just got some more questions here, but if that's motion's on the floor and seconded, I won't support it as it is.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Will we have time to also consider option 2?
Yes, we can vote on them separately, but we'll dispense with, they have a motion on the floor for option 1.
Well, just to be clear, if option 1 passes, that's over.
I understand that. Yeah, yes, if it passes, there is no, if there's 4 votes, there is no option 2. Yes. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
And did you get that, Madam Clerk? 3. All right, we're ready for option 2. Have a motion for option 2.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Elamine.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion?
Just discussion. I'm just not supporting it. It is. I got some more. I still got other questions, but that's the way it is. That's the way it is. I won't support it as it is.
Okay.
I would support some of these things, but I think it's could be some coordination between them and senior services. They do some of the same things, but that's all.
All in favor of option 2, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, I'll agree with that too. Any opposed?
Aye.
We have 1 opposed, 2 opposed. All right, motion carries 5-2. All righty.
Mr. Vice Chairman, we can go back to item 20. I'll ask Kyle Haney, our Community and Economic Development Director, to come up and respond to Commissioner Linville's question.
Yes, sir. I reviewed the application. It is for operational, not salary. So it is operational costs, not personnel.
Okay, is whatever they're doing now, if they are doing food pantry, it'd be operated voluntary?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So you've got a resolution in front of you approving execution agreement with Clemens Food Pantry Incorporated to provide funding for its food pantry operations with ARPA funds in the amount of $250,000. $25,000.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Wisenhunt.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Very good. We'll jump over to item 22, which is a resolution approving execution of an agreement with Cure Violence Global to provide a violence interruption program using ARPA funds. You've got an associated budget ordinance amendment that'll appropriate $1.5 million for this project.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel.
Second.
Second by, well, let's get a second first. Got a second by Commissioner Plyler and Commissioner Delamine. Discussion.
This is the Cure Violence. The city's going to participate in this as well. Is that correct?
Yes, Commissioner Kaplan. Actually, for the briefing session, I have an interlocal agreement that we're going to be introducing. The city is expected to cover 50%.
That's good. And I really appreciate the evaluation contract that should this be approved, I think we have found just kind of by accident, a outstanding external evaluator for both this project and the juvenile intervention team. Also, if that passes, so I have high hopes for both of those. So, any other discussions?
Yes, questions.
Yes.
22 item. That's where you're at.
Yes.
Okay. I asked. Well, I guess maybe it was an observation about 2 weeks ago, and with no response at all. That's unusual in here, but usually you get a response one way or another out of something. It seems like to me that there needs to be coordination with the sheriff's department, law enforcement, and maybe the Winston-Salem PD too. It's law enforcement, but when I asked the question, there was no response. I got this, it's the same, I still have the same thought of it. It seems like to me, this would be as it is, standalone without, I'm asking a question, I'm not saying it's a fact. Would it be a standalone organization with no cooperation with either the sheriff's department or the Winston-Salem PD? I think it ought to be.
Commissioner Linville, I apologize if you asked the question previously. I don't recall, but this is a standalone program. It would be housed under the Department of Public Health. It is not a law enforcement program. It's an alternative to law enforcement. It's a public health model. They do not share information with law enforcement. It's a public health model. It is standalone. It's different.
Well, and I can add a little more to it. In fact, the sheriff actually was on a conference call with the proposed evaluator that we have identified somewhat. You may recall the person from Cure Violence was here and we talked about evaluations, and he sends a list. I called one of the guys on the list and actually kind of an independent guy. And the answer to that question, the sheriff was on the phone, the answer to that question about the law enforcement part, he said that he has worked with a couple of these programs in different areas, and one of those is in Camden, New Jersey. And in Camden, New Jersey, the person that ran the Cure Violence session, actually, that person was not involved with the people out in the community. He met with law enforcement once a week and told them about things. They didn't identify, this is Joshua or Jimmy or whatever. What they identified was, we have heard discussions about something happening X. And he said that communication in that community worked extremely well. They didn't violate the Cure Violence agreement, and it was a Cure Violence person, and they understood that. And that is the way, at least I would expect, that worked and would work. Because as you know, I've had expressed a number of concerns, and I've kind of worked through that and felt like that was a good response, and I would expect that to happen here too, in some kind of way that there was a weekly communication with law enforcement, Winston-Salem PD, Sheriff's Office, but it doesn't, the people that work for this group do not go, they're not informants. They're not working, they're not informants. But what they do is that they do hear things, and they will give those kind of things to the, to law enforcement. Everybody's on the same team for safety, but the approach for Cure Violence is a different approach, and it's not a new one, and it's out there. And I think if it all gets said, is it implemented correctly? And I think that's why we've got a guy to help us on that, external guy. And so that's why I'm going to support it. But
well, is that in the contract? I mean, is it written that they'll do that, or is it just some guy suggesting it might?
I think that whatever, assuming this were to pass, I think whatever contract that we would have can specify what we want to. And since I have every reason to believe, I believe, Chantel, you were on this call too, I have every reason to believe that the evaluator we talked to, Dr. Butts from John Jay Criminal University, basically said that Camden did this, and it was from Cure Violence. So I feel confident the Cure Violence people would support that and agree to that.
Yes, and what I will say is that, law enforcement is a part of the steering committee, both Winston-Salem PD and the Sheriff's Office, and would continue with that to provide input into the program. They also are a part of the hiring panel, so they actually help with the selection process of individuals that are hired. So these aren't secret employees that's working, but they are not informants of law enforcement, but certainly, general information from the program manager, whoever's in charge about, we're hearing there might be, some sort of escalated violence that's happening on the weekend. You might need to put more law enforcement. Again, not specific names because it is confidential, but, at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. We want to reduce violence. It's just a different approach to doing that.
Any more discussion? So all in favor, please, do we have a motion yet? Do we have that yet? I can't remember.
You have the motion and a second.
We got a motion and a second. I apologize. Any more discussion?
I'll just say that I was going to make a motion to continue the matter, but till the next round to get some more information myself. I'm not opposed to this kind of thing, to, the violence is out there, the gangs is out there. It seems like to me gangs and violence kind of, some of the same things go. That's what causes violence, is gangs to some degree. So that's where I'm at on it. I would just leave it at that.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
So correcting it is 5-2. Motion carries 5-2. All righty.
Last ARPA funding item, and it has two options. They both involve a resolution approving funding positions for the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office to create a juvenile intervention and investigation team with American Rescue Plan Act funds. You've got the associated budget ordinance amendment and actually the number of positions, which are the two differentiators here. And so option one is the budget would provide $2,183,324, and then increase the number of positions by 9. Option two would increase the number of positions by 6, and the associated budget ordinance amendment would appropriate $1,497,630 for this.
Move approval with option 2.
We have a motion by Chairman Plyler for option 2. Is there a second? I'll second that. Second option 2.
Question, please.
Discussion.
Discussion. Why did we skip to option 2 versus 1? I mean, I'm unclear.
I can reread that if you want me to. Option 2 would provide 6 positions for the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office for the team, and would budget $1,497,630 for that purpose.
I think that's what the sheriff asked for.
No, it was option 1.
That's not what the sheriff asked.
The sheriff asked option 1.
So we're going out of order, so if we can just go back and do
Where did I
option
come
1.
up with the
Well,
idea?
we
of
have a motion on the floor in a second. The question is, does the person who made the motion want to withdraw his
Yes,
motion?
I will withdraw it.
Thank you,
All right.
Chairman Plyler.
Okay. Now, we'll start over. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve with option 1.
Second.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Plyler, second by Commissioners Elamine and Commissioner McDaniel. Any discussion? I've sung, brief.
Surprise us.
Because, what's
It's a
that?
surprise.
A surprise that it's brief? You want me to surprise you with it being brief?
No, I'm just surprised you had a comment.
Oh, okay. Well, we've obviously discussed this issue probably way too much. And I will just say, as a reminder, that I was very much in favor of this concept. Appreciated the concept very much from the get-go. However, there's just a certain amount of it's also the how do you do it, how do you learn from doing it, and what do you know when you get into it. And I would much prefer a smaller, scaled-down project. And that's exactly why I'm going to vote against this motion. However, I'm very much in favor of the concept, and I'm pleased that we're going to be able to, at least we hope we're going to be able to evaluate it. The evaluator is going to talk about what it would take to do it, and I hope we're going to be able to do it. And assuming that there is support for this particular motion, it is going to require some additional data collection in order to do a proper evaluation. So perhaps the additional staff could be put to use, and then I can be proven incorrect on that, and nothing would make me happier for that to be successful. So with that, I'd like to ask if all those in favor to
Show of
please say
hands.
aye. Show of hands. Show of hands.
In favor?
All in favor.
1, 2, 3. 4, 5, oh my.
Looks like 6. All opposed? There we go. Register my
Mr. Chairman, comment. I ain't gonna use much of my time up here. I'm gonna save it. I may have to use it when Mr. Callahan wants to debate, and I don't want him to have the last word. So he's got more time than I will have. You have the last word. I want to emphasize again that when all of these funds is used up into 3 years, all of the ARPAs, not just the sheriff's part here, that county may not be able to pick them up and carry them on. And when we get into the next round of this and the other things that we do until we get finished with it, I'll emphasize it again to be sure. And that way, it'll be in more than one set of minutes.
Commissioner Linville, that assumes that you and I will both be here in 3 years.
Well, I think to your point, Commissioner Linville, I actually think our contracts are going to actually make it perfectly clear that there is no promise of continuation at the end of the project, and that should not be an expectation. And I don't know, maybe either our attorney or Chantel may want to comment on that, but I believe that's exactly what's intended.
Yes, that's what they'll say. Of course, it always comes down to what the board wants to do, but you're correct.
If I may, Chairman, Vice Chairman, I will say that I'm happy that this board was courageous enough to support Cure Violence and the Sheriff's Department as well. I think working in unison that I'm expecting that we won't be here after these ARPA funds have resolved. So I just wanted to say that, and I appreciate this work that we are about to embark on. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Mr. County Manager, continue.
We're winding down. We've got 4 contracts for consideration. Item 24 is a resolution authorizing execution of amendment to the contract with Walter Robbs, Callahan, and Pierce Architects for the Smith Reynolds Airport Terminal Renovation Project. If I could ask James Anderson to come up and just briefly review this. It occurred to us we were pushed in, I think James and Mark both were not available in one of the meetings, and then we were rushed up last Thursday. So just a quick overview of what this is.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This item authorizes an amendment with the contract with Walter Robbs, Callahan, and Pierce Architects for additional services for the Smith Reynolds Airport project. This is for additional scope that's being added with the funding from the state SCIF funds. And so that's going to include some exterior envelope repairs, replacement of brick shelf angles on the runway side of the terminal, as well as some additional build-out inside of interior upfit that was not included in the original budget. And it also includes the design associated with hanging the donated aircraft within the lobby. Walter Robbs has submitted a request for additional services in the amount of $318,940. This represents approximately 6.2% of the $5.1 million budget increase. And their total compensation will not exceed $926,891, and this represents approximately 8.7% of the total construction budget of $10,650,000. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
James, you wanted to mention, I know when you said shelf angle something or another, there were some deficiencies we found once you started peeling back the building a bit, and that one, and also the water intrusion, I think.
Yeah, so part of the first phase of services that we had with Walter Robbs was to do some investigation with Sutton Kennerly, looking at the building envelope. When we were doing our initial walkthrough with them, there was some evidence of water infiltration into the facility. And as part of that, they discovered that the shelf angles on the runway side have deteriorated to where some of them are just about completely gone, and the brick's actually in danger of falling off the side of the building. So to do that repair work, it's very labor intensive. Have to pull the brick off, replace the steel, and then reinstall the brick.
Thank you very much, James. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Kaplan, second by Commissioner Plyler. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item 25 is a resolution awarding a contract for document scan and upload services for the Department of Social Services. Large project, and we're winding this one up, but this would provide $750,000 over a multi-year period for 15 million images that will free up some space where files are.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Plyler, second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item 26 is a resolution awarding and authorizing execution of a contract for the repair of 2 ambulance units, Unit 29 and 35. We went out for bid on these repairs, significant repairs. Total low bid was $226,878.86. We are seeking, these were damaged in wrecks. We are seeking insurance reimbursement on this.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Winston. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And item 27, you got a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement between Forsyth County and Twin City Data Incorporated for the integration of the county's master address repository to county enterprise systems along with the associated service not to exceed $250,000.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler, second by Commissioner Elamine. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, you've got one property matter. Item 28 is a resolution declining the first opportunity to purchase 21.79 acres of property owned by the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Board of Education at 0 Weather Inn Drive. This is that Shore Road property that was land banked a number of years ago. The schools are planning to sell this. I think they may have even gotten pretty far down the road selling this. And the funds for this will go into that maintenance project.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kaplan and McDaniel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Got one code matter. Item 29 is an ordinance revising Chapter 6 of Forsyth County Code entitled Animals. Forsyth County Sheriff's Office Animal Services Division submitted this. This revises the sections related to animal licensing and dangerous dog provisions, and this will essentially discontinue and you will deregulate animal licenses in Forsyth County except for dangerous
Move
dogs.
approval.
Motion approved by Commissioner Plyler, and we have seconds by Commissioner Elamine and Commissioner Kaplan. Any discussion? Appreciate the work of the Animal Control Advisory Committee and all the good comments we have heard in the last couple of discussions about this, and I think this is absolutely the right direction to go for a fee that was never paid uniformly, and for some clearly was an excuse not to deal with vaccinations. So,
And those
really appreciate
positions-
that work.
And those positions that were originally authorized for that purpose will be included as an alternate service level in this year's upcoming budget. And so, because they've essentially asked for those positions to be retained, we don't normally automatically do that unless this board wishes for us to do, but we would have them in as an alternate service level, and I'm sure that'll be part of the sheriff's request.
If we vote in favor of this, will Priscilla Ivester stand and wave her hands, or?
She can.
I just thought I'd ask the
Already did
question.
it. She just did it. Seated. Okay, very good. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, last are just the reports. You've got the January 2022 contributions-based benefit cap report. You've got the quarterly fuel surcharge report, and I think there's no surprise to anyone that surcharge went up with fuel prices. It went up from 0.28 to 0.37. And I would like to say, we've been doing this thing for a long time. In the agenda item, there's actually the history over all these years of this fuel surcharge. And I looked at it, it had gone from a low of negative 0.41, if I looked at it correctly, to a high of 0.63 over all these years. And so that's been a tool. Imagine how difficult it would have been is during all those fuel surcharge prices, these solid waste franchise providers would have had to come back to you for adjustments in it, and this let it float with that. So it's actually, I got to give my hand to Minor Barnett, because he was one of the architects of this, and it took a lot of analysis to figure out what is that number and what is that scale that worked with this. And so it pretty interesting, worked out well. So
Move approval.
A motion to approve reports by Commissioner Linville, second by Commissioner Plyler, and Commissioner Wizenhunt. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Passed unanimously.
That's it for the formal meeting. We do have a
Mr.
briefing.
Vice Chairman.
10-minute, 32-second break, is that?
10-minute, 32-second break? All right. So
Before
moved.
we do that, may I ask the county manager one question?
Absolutely.
Last Thursday, we approved 8 million plus of the American Rescue Act. Just curious as to, don't have to do it now, I gave you plenty of time. How much of the American Rescue Plan did we work today? So I can add 8 million plus to what we did today, which would make a very impressive figure. I'm just curious.
When we come back after the briefing, we will tell you that number. So.
Second the motion. Is that it?
We're recessed, 10 minutes,
Okay.
32 seconds.